Ryan Lefebvre is with us on Legends Inside Scoop. He's coming back for his 16th season as a member of the Kansas City Royals broadcast team and his 20th in the major leagues. Handles play-by-play on television for Fox Sports Kansas City and also on radio for the Royals Radio Network, and getting ready before long to head out to Arizona for spring training. Ryan, first of all, thanks for taking a few minutes. Good to have you with us.
Good to talk to you, Keith, and I'll look forward to seeing you in Surprise right around the corner.
We are looking forward to this spring training, maybe like no other after the winter that we've all experienced. I know it's been tough out there in Kansas City too, but a lot of reasons to look forward to this spring training for the Royals. It was quite a season in 2013, and the Royals had their best season in many, many years in a lot of different ways. 3 All-Stars on the roster, the most wins, the best percentage of winning since about 1989, and the best record in the American League after the All-Star break. It was really a different atmosphere there that second half of the season in Kansas City than it had been for a while, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was. And I think the first half was just as important as the second half was, even though they didn't have the first half that they had hoped for. At one point, the Royals, very early in the month of May, they were 7 games above 500, and then they fell very quickly to 9 games below 500. And when you're talking about 10 years since the last winning season, it was very easy for a lot of us, and I'll include myself, to fall into the trap of, oh gosh, how the heck are they going to dig themselves out of this hole? Or even, even worse, here we go again. And now what are the Royals going to do? Because this is the group of guys that they've been pinning their hopes to. So, to finish 10 games above 500, considering how far they fell, it was almost like having 2 good seasons, as opposed to, let's say they finished April 2 games above 500, and then they were 3 games above in May and 4 games above in June, and it was just a very steady climb all season long to 10 games above. I mean, that would be a great season, don't get me wrong, but the learning process, the confidence that must have come from falling so low and pulling themselves back up in the same season. As I said, I think that's more than just one good season they're coming off of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and going down the stretch there, I was out in Kansas City in September. There was a big crowd for a game against the Rangers, and obviously a pennant race type atmosphere in the stands around the ballpark as the Royals were still in contention for a postseason berth until very, very late in the season. It's such a long season in baseball, but if you're in contention coming down the stretch, it just energizes everybody, doesn't it?
It really does, and that was a first for me to have a packed house for the last 3 home games of the year. I mean, because typically the Royals are out of it. They've long been out of it, and people have focused their attention on the Chiefs and college football, and of course we're surrounded by 3 major universities in Kansas City, so rightly so. And here we are, the Royals are still in it. At that point they were, hanging on to dear life, but they were still in it. And to have a packed house the last Friday, the last Saturday, and the Sunday afternoon, and then, to send the fans off with a walk-off grand slam for the final home game. I mean, people just didn't want to leave. They didn't want the season to be over. And unfortunately, 3 days later, the Royals were officially eliminated from playoff contention. So, that was very exciting. I think it proves that what we've been saying for a long time, that this city and this region is just dying. That just proved what we've all believed for a long time, and that is that this city and this region is just dying to get behind this team. And it really goes back to the All-Star game the year before. Major League Baseball was just thoroughly impressed with the turnouts at all the events during the All-Star game, whether you liked it or not, the way they booed Robinson Cano during the home run derby for not selecting Billy Butler, and that was debated quite a bit. But I think it just showed that Royals fans were paying attention to what was going on, and they cared about their players. They gave Chipper Jones a great standing ovation in his final All-Star game because Chipper Jones said that he always wanted to play at Kauffman Stadium and never got to. And then Miguel Cabrera, he clinched the Triple Crown at the end of the 2012 season, and we had a huge attendance for that game. So it was just 2012 kind of set up 2013 in that, okay, we're paying attention. You give us some good baseball, we'll come out. And, we're hoping for a lot of big crowds and many more reasons to get the fans out this season.
Talking with Ryan Lefebvre on Inside Scoop. He's a broadcaster for the Kansas City Royals, getting ready to start his 16th season as a member of the Royals broadcasting team. Talking a little bit about the Royals' success in 2013 and one of the big events over the offseason between 2012 and 2013. The Royals made some deals and really revamped that starting pitching. James Shields, a key acquisition. And that was seemed like a signal. We had just joined the Royals organization, of course, at that point and beginning to look closely at that organization. But that was a real dramatic signal, wasn't it, Ryan, that the Royals meant business in 2013. And obviously you get a veteran starting pitcher, it's going to be fairly costly. And Will Myers went to Tampa Bay, and to nobody's surprise, he's doing very well. But James Shields was certainly a key to the Royals' success in 2013.
Well, I think, Keith, when we look back on some of the great trades in baseball history, it's very easy to just focus on the ones that really worked for one team and just seemed like a huge steal. And man, boy, how did they get so-and-so for so-and-so? Mm-hmm. But truth be told, just about every general manager I've ever talked to, when it comes to trades, the goal is the trade to work for both teams. And this is a trade that really did work out for both teams. Will Myers was Rookie of the Year after not being called up until the month of June. And James Shields gave the Royals an ace pitcher and a leader, which is rare for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's very hard for a starting pitcher, any pitcher for that matter, to really be the leader of a team just because they're not on the field that often. You know, most of the time it's a position player that's, out there grinding it out day after day for 6 months. They just naturally become the leaders. And the second reason why I was a surprise is because it was James Shields' first year with the Royals. And I've seen a lot of veteran guys come to the Royals by way of trade or free agency. And one of the things, maybe the biggest thing the Royals are attracted to with that player is their leadership skills. And then the player gets here and they say, well, it's really hard to be a leader the first year. I mean, I have to get here and I have to get to know the players. They have to get to know me. Sometimes it takes, half a season or maybe even a full season to really, just be a leader. And James Shields wasn't that at all. I mean, he was the leader, it seemed like day one of spring training. So that was a great deal for the Royals. And, we'll see how long James Shields is with the Royals. We don't know. But I do know this is, Will Myers couldn't pitch.
Right.
So, he may have very well been called up and he may have won Rookie of the Year with the Royals. But the Royals needed help in attitude, confidence, and pitching. And I don't think Will Myers would have given the Royals any of that. And so that James Shields deal really sets the Royals up for another step forward this year. I don't think, no offense to Will Myers, he was just a rookie. I don't think he could have done that for this team last season.
We mentioned the 3 All-Stars for Kansas City, first time since '88 that they've had that many on the roster, and it was Perez, the catcher, outfielder Alex Gordon, and closer Greg Holland. And as you look at the depth chart here very, very early in spring training, this looks to be a very solid ball club for 2014. I mean, you look around just the names of the acquisition of Aoki, and it looks to be very strong.
Yeah, and there's a good and a bad of that. I mean, the good is you've got the stability, and it seems that the Royals have a good feel going into spring training. When there are just a few jobs up for grabs, maybe in this case, a couple, it always looks good because you got your team. But at the same time, a little more competition in spring training. You got guys, fighting for their lives, at least maybe in their minds, for jobs. I think that's always good. But in this case, it's just been a long time coming to get to a position where the Royals felt like they were a couple of players away from being a true playoff contender. I really didn't think last year, Keith, that they were a true playoff contender because, they had only won 71, 72 games in 2012. I really felt like they needed to get over that hump of being a winning team. And they did more than that. They finished 10 games above 500, but they needed a second baseman. They went out and got a second baseman who not only can field, but he can hit and can hit at the top of the order. They also needed a right fielder and a leadoff hitter, and they got 2 for the price of 1 in Nori Aoki from the Milwaukee Brewers. And then they did sign Jason Vargas, but, we hope that's just a trade-off in, the likelihood that the Royals will not bring back Urban Santana. They needed another good starting pitcher in the rotation, and they went out and acted very quickly on Jason Vargas. So on one hand, last year after the Shields deal, and that was blockbuster just because of the names that are being thrown around, Dayton Moore made it very clear, hey, yeah, it's okay to be excited for a while because of this trade, but if we want to be playoff contenders year after year, these are things we're going to do every single season. This isn't just this off season. And sure enough, they signed 2 free agents who have a chance to be impact players, and they make a trade that for a player who has a chance to impact the Royals in more ways than one.
It's always fun to talk to baseball people at this time of the year as things are getting started up for a brand new season. What are your thoughts now as you get ready to head out to Arizona and get a first-hand look at this team?
Well, I'm just as curious as anybody else. I mean, I'm very bad with predictions, and the times that I have been accurate with a prediction, I mean, it was just luck. There are so many things that can happen, and the most boring one for fans is the most important one, and that's health. You corner Dayton Moore, you corner Ned Yost, whomever, and you say, what's the key to the season? And they're going to say, we need to stay healthy. Well, fans want to hear something a little juicier than that, but that's really the case. The Royals were remarkably healthy last year. That had a lot to do with how they finished. And as a result, the Royals training staff was honored by Major League Baseball as, the best training staff in baseball for 2013. So as I look forward to this season, there really are 2 things that stand out for me: health, and number 2 would be how the Royals will handle the expectations. And it's popular to say that, well, my expectations, meaning the player or the manager or the general manager, my or our expectations are, greater than any expectation outside of this organization. But the truth is, when eyes are pointed at you that aren't normally pointed at you, it's tougher. The crowds are bigger. At home and on the road, there's more pressure at home because some fans who wouldn't normally come out are now coming out, and the talk shows and the television shows and blogs and newspaper writers, there's just a lot more attention. There's more media at the ballpark. There's pressure there. There's pressure there that wasn't there last season. And so while they accomplished a lot last year, it's still a young team. And I think even more important than certain individual performances, I think the team as a whole and how they handle these expectations of being a true playoff contender, for me, that's second in line as far as question marks behind the health.
Well, it all gets started before long. It's a very exciting time of year for everyone involved in baseball, for baseball fans. And Ryan, we appreciate you taking a few minutes today to talk with us, and we'll catch up with you in Arizona in just a few weeks.
Sounds good, Keith. Look forward to seeing you in the sun.
All right. Me too. Me too. Thanks a lot.